Hello, and thank you for joining me for September Astrology 2023. I'm Colleen Pearl, your astrologer, and I will be guiding you on this astrological journey. Let's talk about the big stuff for the month. The beginning of the month is full of amazing aspects that help you in the career and job arena. Money looks great, your accomplishments are off the charts, and you feel like a winner. Mid-month, we have the new moon in Virgo, which may bring some surprising opportunities and discoveries. The second half of the month is up and down. We will still have amazing days, but the energy fluctuates between uncomfortable to wonderful. In general, for the second half of the month, you'll want to work alone and keep your own counsel. Gossips, ne'er-do-wells, and ambitious dilettantes litter the horizon, making for an uneven landscape. The month ends with a delightful full moon in Aries, the perfect time to focus on you and your partner and to relax in any competitive areas. This full moon tips us off for what the next eclipse season and the next 2 years will be like in terms of big changes and general focus in our lives. The nodes have changed signs, and this is the first full moon in the new sign Aries, which kicks off a new feeling of the future and how we are relating to others. Depending upon your chart, you may feel anxious or excited about what's to come, and everyone will feel the change in the air. Not only because of the Autumn Equinox, but also because of the nodes. The North and South nodes are where you've come from and where you're going, your life's journey. Being in tune with that journey makes it that much sweeter. Fighting your new path will cause it to be bumpy and uneven and can even make you sick. Embrace the future, my fellow astronauts, and together we will make the path as smooth yet exciting as possible. As always, I will be giving the degrees for all the aspects happening this month. You want to look at your natal chart, and if you don't have one, go to astro.com and you can get one for free. Any aspects that connect to planets or points in your chart by 3 degrees, either way, will have an effect on you. Any connection to the sun or moon will affect you when it's within 5 degrees of your planets or points in either direction. So if you have your moon in Virgo at 8 degrees, you will be affected by anything in Virgo from 3 to 13 degrees in the sky. In the description of this video, I've listed all the elements and modalities for the 12 signs. Things that connect with the same element will be harmonious for you. Things that connect with the modality will be challenging. The elements are fire, earth, air, and water, and the modes are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. All right, that's enough for the astrology lesson for now. Let's get on with the astrology for September. Let's begin with the planetary ingresses for September. Now, in September, we just have one. On September 23rd, the sun will enter Libra for the autumnal equinox. This is my favorite time of year because it's my solar return. I'm a Libra, and I make no bones about the fact that I love my sign. During the equinox, we get to feel the balancing of light and dark, and there is no purer expression of the Libran energy than that. During the autumnal equinox, we should take time to look within and examine whether our lives are likewise balanced, how we balance things in our lives, whether it's our work-home balance or time between our children and our spouse. It never hurts to examine these things because we change. Our spouse changes. Our children change. Our job changes. Because life is ever-changing, there is an almost constant need to look at the way we conduct ourselves so that we can make corrections as we go along. This doesn't mean that you have to constantly review and revise everything, every act in your life. In fact, the opposite. There are natural times throughout every year, in fact, every month, when we can take a look at things and be able to make small changes, little tweaks that really make us feel better. And if you still feel anxious or worried or just exhausted, think about this. The planets, in their infinite wisdom, give us little breaks in our lives when it is natural to do this type of self-examination. Mercury retrograde comes to mind, which we are in right now, which is a good time to spend examining one's life. But, you say, I thought Mercury retrograde was the time to fix all the little broken things around our house. So it is. But you can also use it as a time when you contemplate and go within while you are fixing all those broken little things. Also, times when the moon is either new or full are both natural moments when we can perhaps be more in touch with how we feel about what is going on in our lives. If there is some feeling of discomfort, then look for a reason and try to balance it out. All right, now let's take a look at the retrograde planets for September. On September 3rd, Venus, which is currently retrograde in Leo, stations direct at 12 degrees Leo, 12 minutes. On September 4th, Jupiter stations retrograde, which means that it comes to a standstill, getting ready to go retrograde, in Taurus until December 31st this year, 2023. On the 15th, Mercury stations or stops direct at 8 degrees Virgo exactly, which, full disclosure, is right on top of my moon in Virgo. Now, these planets are retrograde all month: Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, as well as Pluto, the North Node, and Chiron. And just to remind you, the North Node is not a planet. It is a point in the sky that coincides with the moon's orbit. And when that orbit crosses the orbital path of the Earth around the sun is when we have eclipses. Chiron is an asteroid. It orbits in an elliptical pattern between Saturn and Uranus. So as you can see, we're in a bit of a stew with retrograde planets, and there's quite a bit of retrograde energy. So this is one of those natural times to assess and adjust little things in our lives to update and streamline things that we do. All right, now let's move on to the weekly planetary action. And the first week is August 28th through September 3rd. I always try to take a full week, so sometimes I back into the very end days of the previous month so that we get a full view of what the planetary energy is going to be for those 7 days. All right, so on September 3rd, as I mentioned in the planetary retrograde section, Venus will be stationing direct at 12 degrees Leo, 12 minutes. Other than that, there are no planetary movements, aspects, changes, nothing. It's just that Venus goes direct. And because of that, you will feel the Venus stationing much stronger than you would if there was a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So you may feel a sudden urge to splurge when Venus goes direct, as if some fairy godmother made a direct deposit into your bank account. But hold off. You may need that cash for something else. Also, your emotional IQ may wiggle into focus for the first time since she went retrograde in July. For 40 days, Miss Venus has been moving backwards in our sky, causing confusion emotionally and possibly making a mess of certain relationships. Now, once she goes direct, you will feel like things come back to an even keel, or at least they come back to where they were prior to her going retrograde. All right, moving on to week 2, September 4th through the 10th. On September 4th, Mercury, which will still be retrograde, will be trining Jupiter, which is stationing on that day. Mercury will be at 15 degrees Virgo, 34 minutes retrograde, and Jupiter will be at 15 degrees Taurus, 34 minutes station. Brilliant, Holmes. Why didn't I think of that myself? Great ideas will abound while the communicator Hermes makes nice with Jupiter. Jupiter expands those ideas and places you in front of people who can help you make the most of them. So, what are you waiting for? Start communicating. You're going to be brilliant. Jupiter stations retrograde on September 4th at 15 degrees Taurus 34. Now, when Jupiter stations retrograde, we begin to look at our patterns when it comes to our own lifestyle. Are we a little too hedonistic, or on the other extreme, a little too monastic? Are we spending too much money? Or not just money, but time, attention, love, energy? Are we taking care of ourselves, or just hurling ourselves through the universe, grabbing at every opportunity that we see? Not every opportunity should be taken, but ones that are taken should be cultivated so that they produce a result. Or is that just my Capricorn rising speaking? Anyway, to rely on luck and indulgence to get you through your life is probably not wise. So Jupiter retrograde comes along and says, hey, you have a life, you have a lifestyle, you have needs, but are you meeting all of those? If you're depleting your bank account in order to self-soothe, but telling yourself that it's self-care, then you have a problem that needs to be corrected. But only you can tell whether the correction is needed, and only you can make the correction. So, use this retrograde period to do just that. You have until the end of the year to make it happen. On September 6th, the Sun will conjunct Mercury. Sun will be at 13 degrees Virgo 36, and Mercury will be at 13 degrees Virgo 36 retrograde still. Ouch, that's hot. That's what Mercury, which is a hot little planet orbiting closest to the Sun, says when it is conjunct to the Sun. It's also called Cassimi, and it means that you risk getting burned in the head, that is. If you have planets and points near this one, you will want to be careful. You may feel a little burnt out. Sorry, couldn't help myself. But be careful. Don't do the New York Times crossword puzzle today. Relax. Otherwise, your brains might just drop out of your ear. Ugh, what an image. On September 7th, we have the Sun trining Jupiter, the Sun being at 14 degrees Virgo 34 minutes, and Jupiter being at 15 degrees Taurus 34 minutes retrograde. Now, when the Sun beams harmoniously to Jupiter, you feel strong and super confident, but so does everyone else who is sensitive to this aspect. So, don't go thinking you're the only king on this hill. If you can control your ego and enjoy the optimism and joy of this moment, you will have made the most of this trine. Moving on to week 3, September 11th through the 17th, when we will have a new moon in Virgo at 21 degrees 59 minutes. That will happen on September 14th at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Uranus will be trine the Sun and Moon, bringing some exciting energy to this lunation. Opportunities will present themselves from unexpected sources, and you may find that you want to grab some of them before they're gone. You may be thoroughly inspired to take on a new project or mission under this new moon, and Venus will be squaring Jupiter, making some debutantes cry, but their dates will be stubborn and possibly even boorish in response. The new moon won't be smooth and harmonious, but it may bring some delightful surprises. Neptune forms a wide opposition to the Sun-Moon combo, so there could be more here than meets the eye. Some fantasy, romance, possibly some sleight of hand, or purposeful misdirection benefiting someone other than you could also be going on. Saturn will be opposing Lilith out of sign, which may make a few buttoned-up types feel very uncomfortable. The planets are nice and spread out for this moon, but don't let that fool you. There could be some deep plots afoot, some exciting opportunities, and a few tears from bruised egos during this event. A feature that I feel needs to be mentioned for this new moon is that there is a kite formation, and the focal point of the kite is the moon. That means that the focal point is going to be on the people. And the planets seem to really coincide with Donald Trump's Sun-Uranus combination. So I'm going to say that on this new moon, Mr. Trump is going to have something to say. He's going to try to gaslight or impress upon us really strongly some sort of, whatever his usual propaganda is going to be. All right, let's move on to September 15th, when the Sun will trine Uranus. The Sun will be at 22 degrees Virgo 56. Uranus will be at 22 degrees Taurus 56 retrograde. Sun trine Uranus persists after the new moon and continues to bring surprises and opportunities. Given that Mercury goes direct on this day as well, it's probably safer to take up those opportunities now rather than the first day of the new moon. Mercury retrograde is always good for introspection, so take time on the 14th to contemplate your future, your plans, and your life, or perhaps you have something else that needs to be contemplated. Mercury retrograde gives us the chance to delve into our soul and spruce up our spiritual practice so that we can progress for another few months in the most abundant way and for the highest good of all. Once Mercury is direct, it's safe to branch out in new directions and hopefully with a new perspective. Now, Mercury will go direct on the 15th at exactly 8 degrees Virgo. When Mercury stations direct, you will notice that things you couldn't get to, or at least things that you skipped during the retrograde season, can be addressed. Virgo attends to little things, but sometimes little things can be very significant things, and attending to these things can bring a great deal of relief as well as a sense of completion. This feeling will allow us to end whatever worry we may have had about reviewing every little thing being done, especially things pertaining to communication. Also, I hope that you were able to attend to a few projects during the retrograde, things that you had to put off or left unfinished, and that the completion of those things also gives you a sense of completion. Mercury retrograde is not only a time to replace batteries, but also a time to allow your soul to repair or heal while you take a step back from the greater world and attend to things that are intimate and personal, such as your spiritual world, your heart, your soul, and your connection to Source. Rest easy, friend. You didn't just stop doing things and take a vacation. You stopped worrying about the larger, mundane part of your world and attended to the interior world that is so important to your well-being. Then on September 17th, we have Venus squaring Jupiter. Venus will be at 15 degrees Leo, 40 minutes. Jupiter will be at 15 degrees Taurus, 16 minutes retrograde. This entire week is good for love and relationships. However, closer to the weekend, be careful of feeling like you have to go along with things, such as becoming intimate before you're ready. In this world, tap into your divine feminine and don't succumb to pressure. Live on your own terms. It's more sexy than acquiescence. And now on to week 4, September 18th through the 24th. On September 18th, we have the Sun opposing Neptune. Sun will be at 25 degrees Virgo, 52. Neptune will be at 26 degrees Pisces, 16 minutes retrograde. This aspect can go one of two ways. On the one hand, we may find that people are bending over backwards to sacrifice themselves or for some cause or a person. These are probably the same people who are vulnerable to indulging in drugs or alcohol to soothe their pain. While the Sun thankfully will shine a light on this behavior, it will still occur. On the other hand, we may see a person rise up against the exercise of tremendous gaslighting or manipulation of the masses. Either way, a person or persons will come forward to represent the negative side of this equation. There could also be a person come forward to represent the warrior opposing this gaslighting and or manipulation. Neptune is very strong in our country's natal chart right now, so I think this will be a very important aspect. On September 20th, we'll have the Sun trine Pluto, the Sun being at 27 degrees Virgo, 49 minutes, Pluto being at 27 degrees Capricorn, 59 minutes retrograde. I really hope this aspect touches Jack Smith's chart in a profound way. This is the strong, silent type with good manners. A very decisive person who can have influence without speaking. Very effective, very strong-willed. This aspect will give power to the investigators, prosecutors, and judges who are judging our courts on this day. I really hope an important case is judged under this aspect. And then on September 23rd, we will have Venus sextile Mars, and this one will last for about a week. Venus being at 18 degrees Leo, 28 degrees. Mars being at 17 degrees Libra, 25 minutes. This brings a lot of cooperation and creative energy between people, especially those for whom this aspect is strong. This is very harmonious. Mars is in the sign of the Quartz, which is Libra, so I'm hoping that this will positively affect those involved with the high court cases. And now on to week 5, September 25th through October 1st, which is my birthday. All right, September 25th, Mercury will trine Jupiter for about 5 days, so not quite a week. Mercury will be at 14 degrees Virgo 51. Jupiter will be at 14 degrees Taurus 51 retrograde. When Mercury addresses this giant planet with such harmonious beams, there is optimism, kindness, and openness all around. This is the same aspect we experienced on September 4th, except that Mercury was retrograde and Jupiter was just stationing to go retrograde. People will philosophize and converse about the topics of the day, a very nice, very positive energy, and most ideas created now will be brilliant. On September 29th, we will have Venus squaring Uranus, Venus being at 22 degrees Leo 40 minutes, and Uranus being at 22 degrees Taurus 40 minutes retrograde. So, you asked for a soulmate, and you found them. But now, you want your freedom too? That is the conundrum for one who bumps into Venus square Uranus. Venus wants love, and Venus in Leo wants dramatic love. Show me your love with diamonds and pearls, dinners on the Seine, exotic flowers, and beautiful clothes. Then buy me a villa in Cannes where we can live together in bliss. Except that bliss turns out to be about 5 minutes, and then you're stuck with the payments on the villa and everything else they bought. Uranus is ready for some type of constancy, but not at the expense of their freedom. Are you nuts? There are so many cities and countries and mountains to explore. Why would I want to settle down in one place? Oh, because I'd be with you? Sorry, honey. I could be with anybody, not just you. You're cute, but look out there. Can you compete with the whole world? So, take this impulse to partner with a grain of salt. This aspect has been going around since July due to Venus retrograde's motion. This is the last time we will see it for a while. Enjoy the fling, but don't quit your job. Now, Venus squared Uranus 5 times in 2023, which is a lot. In most years, the most you get is twice, but we got lucky this year. Venus doesn't go retrograde every year, and she's not always in a sign that squares Uranus. But while she is in the fixed signs, she's going to bump into the eclectic one more often. And then we come to the full moon in Aries on September 29th. The full moon will be at 6 degrees Aries exactly on September 29th at 5:58 a.m. EDT, so almost 6 o'clock a.m. No other planets really touch the sun opposing the moon, but there is lots of planetary activity. Venus is sextile Mars, which has a really nice feel to it. We may see some entities or groups giving way, allowing weaker partners to take a graceful way out. And what I'm hoping this will apply to is Russia exiting Ukraine. Unlike the last 4 full moons, we won't see a big catalyst for war or violence or even outrageous headlines. Just a nice Aries full moon where we can focus on relationships or hang out with a really good friend and just enjoy our time together. Now, please watch my full moon in Aries video, which will be up on my channel by September, I want to say 21st. This is an important full moon as it heralds the change of nodes to Aries Libra coming from Taurus Scorpio, and I think you'll really feel a big difference and shift in energy. Then on September 30th, we will have Mercury trining Uranus, Mercury being at 22 degrees Virgo 38 minutes, Uranus being at 22 degrees Taurus 38 minutes retrograde. Communications regarding banking, food, agriculture, the sale of merchandise, etc. may be the focus just after the full moon. Supply chain issues may begin to resolve, and more jobs may be added in the areas mentioned. It's all good. It's all really, really good for our country. So that's it, folks. That's all I have for September. Remember that the autumn equinox is September 23rd and is a time for balancing things. It is the halfway point between the light and dark half of the year, and a reminder to look within, ground yourself, and be grateful for all the many blessings you have. Have a wonderful Mabon, a glorious full moon in Aries, and we'll see you next time.